Yo, what's going on, guys? It is your boy Wally J, and I am today bringing you some Elestrals content. If you guys haven't seen the first video of this little Elestral series, and as we're getting to this, definitely go check it out. We looked into Ardbud a little bit, really just talked about them. So I am planning on getting a deck for Ardbud out over here in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that. But today I wanted to talk to you guys about my favorite card in the meta right now, my favorite new card that we're going to be looking to play, and that is going to be Tornadjinn and Windjinn. So without further ado, let's get into the profile. So first things first, we're going to get into the deck profile. I'm currently running one Tornadjinn. I would like to have a second Tornadjinn, but I don't have one right now. I need to get more Moonrise in. But for those of you guys who do not know, Tornadjinn's an 8-2. Really big body. Obviously still, little susceptible to a couple of things like Eddy, Cryoblast, things like that. So maybe not the strongest card in that regard. Like he's typically going to be a little bit easier to remove, but his effect is really strong. His effect lets you expend from your spirit deck a solar or a wind. And you can search your deck up to 3 cards. You can search any 3 cards in your deck, and ultimately shuffle them up. And you'll get a random card. So really good for being able to get some card advantage and be able to choose what that card is. Next, we have Windjinn. Windjinn is obviously essential if we're going to be playing Tornadjinn. Windjinn's a 3/1. He also came out of Moonrise. His effect is if he's a receiver. When he receives wind, you can foretell 3 cards, guess a card, and guess the name of a card, and you'll be able to add it to your hand. If you guess correctly, you can special summon out Tornadjinn. So really strong combo, easy to get out, honestly. A lot more consistent than I think people are thinking it will be, even if you do not get or cannot guess properly, right? It removes the guessing. But yeah, and then if you do choose one, like I said, he gets a special summon, right? But pretty typical. We need him if we're gonna run this deck. Next, this is gonna be pretty typical. We run 3 Astrabbit. Pretty simple. He's gonna be your consistency tool in the deck. 5 is still a really strong stat line. I think it will forever be a really strong stat line, as we've seen with 1 cost. There are a lot of times where I'm able to get Rabbit out and just kind of be able to stall with Rabbit, kind of like you still do now, unless they turbo out something. But even if they do not, right, even if Rabbit does go away, the point is I'm able to receive a card that I need 9 times out of 10, and Rabbit's going to be able to search that for us. Next, we play through Spectrus. I think he's not the best 5-drop in the game, but I think he handles every issue that I could possibly think of that my deck doesn't want to have to deal with or doesn't have an answer for right now, under the world of 5s. So that's why I played through Spectrus. I was actually playing Fulgorix in this deck, just because we're running wind and a little bit of lunar. Excuse me, sorry. We did pull the full art for Goric, so we were like, hey, why not play it? This card just is not that consistent. He's not really easy to get out. I do think in a different deck profile of this deck, which I will create for you guys later, which I think is the better profile of this deck, does play Fulgorix, but for right now, we don't play him. But we still play the spec. The spec just is way too consistent, way too good of a card. So we continue to play him. Period. Deal. Next, we're gonna kind of go through our win package. I have 2 Sorlet. We play 1 Nemisail, 1 P-Gust. Typically, you only ever need 1. 1 Exaltator. So we play 8 5s essentially. One that can actually kind of manipulate positions, which can be really strong. Sorlet is effectively Mudlit, but maybe a little bit better, just because you can continually use his effect, and also he's a 5. So he just is able to get over a couple of more things that Eddy is not able to. Nemi, oh my god. You'll see in the games, but Nemi is amazing. We just need a win receiver, and you'll see why. But Nemi's our heal, Pigus is our hey, let's wipe the board, and Exalter is our hey, can we finish the game, pretty much. So they each have a reason to be in the deck. Like I said, we kind of just have, Sorley, he's a really strong 5. So along with Spec and Rabbit, we have a pretty good way to play the game. These 3 are cards that you're able to search out with like Aeolus, Tornadjinn if you would want to, and essentially you're going to choose and try to find what card you need for whatever scenario. Typically, I think a good default is Nemi, just because decks are kind of expensive right now, and being able to get like, I've been able to pop Nemi and get like 8 spirits back. It's been insane the type of value you can get at a Nemi sale in this deck. So that's it for the 1-cost Wind. Next, we'll talk about the 1/2 cost I have, and that is Cryosaur. Cryosaur is a really, really strong card. I don't care what anybody says. Cryosaur has always been strong. I think there was actually a deck that won with it before, but Cryosaur is cracked. Cryosaur is a card where if I can get him out, and typically I'm going to get him out and ascend over Tornadjinn because of the 4 stat line. They respectively have the same attack. But Cryosaur says, hey, you can stay in this game no matter what. You are in this game, right? You're going to be able to heal 2 spirits that typically will cover any of the counter runes that you'll have. The fact that you can attack directly gives you a reliable way to heal spirits. The way you kind of get him out in this deck, he is usually unaffected by what card am I thinking of? He's usually unaffected by like Tsunami. You could also get in a situation where if you are playing like Dense Fog, or if you're playing against somebody with Dense Fog, you do have the Lunar in here to be able to not get suppressed. But Cryosaur literally is the god of the deck. Most people, oh my god, he's just an 8/4, and that's kind of why we were playing Fulgorix. But because of his ability to attack directly, because of how big he can get, Cryosaur is insane. And we only need 1 because typically we're going to be able to search him out. Next, we have 2 staples that I feel like, well, I won't say 2 staples. I'll say 1 staple and a really, really good consistency card. We're playing Chick, obviously. We need to find Aeolus. But then we're playing Corvuskull. Corvuskull is a new card that came in Moonrise. And its effect is when it receives, it's another receiver. And this is kind of why Fulgorix can work in this deck and probably work pretty well. It just does not work in this profile. But Corvuskull, I should also say Fulgorix kind of feels bad, if I'm just honest. But Corvuskull lets you foretell 3 cards, and you can recycle basically a card that was in your underworld into those 3 foretell cards. So you are effectively taking a card out of your deck and putting it into the graveyard, if you do have to make that decision. But the plays I've been able to make with Corvuskull, and just at 1, my playtest partner literally was like, oh, he's whatever at first. And then as soon as he saw the power that you can have with Corvuskull, he was like, I need a Gorgon Sim every single time. His ability to work with Tornadjinn and Windjinn is insane. And I'm just going to explain it really, really quickly, just so you guys can kind of catch it. So if you draw Corvuskull and you have Windjinn in your hand, for the next 3 turns, you know everything that you need to do to summon out Tornadjinn. Let's say Corvuskull comes second after the Tornadjinn. He's effectively, right, because I don't have 2, he's effectively my way to get a second Tornadjinn and keep the process rolling. There's also been stuff I've been able to do with Corvuskull where I've been able to recycle and use Resting on Your Laurels like 3 different times in a duel. That wasn't in this deck, but really, really cool potential. I think it has a lot of potential. I don't think it was really, really hard for me not to want to put him at 2. I recognize that 1, he's perfect right now. If I had maybe a little bit more Lunar in here, maybe we go that way. But he's just a consistency tool to say, hey, okay, we're going to be on the back end of like your combos. How can we keep this going? Grab the Corvuskull. We're good to go. Next, we're going to get into our runes. I'm going to kind of go through staples first. We have Tsunami, here. I have Tsunami at 1. I think I've been playing Tsunami at 1 in my playtest because water is just really strong right now. I'll explain to another card here in a second why I was like, hey, I'm willing to put Tsunami at 1 and go that way. I think it's still a really good card, but putting 2 in my deck right now feels bad because it's just a brick if I'm playing water. Or if I have 1, it's like, okay, cool, I only have this 1 brick. And then we play Altar of Stars. Altar of Stars is going to be our other way to change positions and be able to manipulate the spirits on the board, as well as the fact that Altar of Stars can help us turbo out and battle trick essentially a Tornadjinn a lot of times. Or I shouldn't say a lot of times, but potentially. So a lot of times what I realized with Altar, because I was playing it at 2, is I'll get to this. I'll get to this in a sec. We play 1 Earthquake. We play 2 Tower of Winds. We are playing 3 Aeolus. And we're playing 2 Circle of the Sky. So before I go any farther, I want to talk about this package right here. So we have a nice little, package right here. But this package is what enables a Tornadjinn first turn. It's what enables a Tornadjinn any turn, really. Your goal is to find Aeolus. If you have Aeolus, any one of these 3 cards, you can effectively get out Tornadjinn next turn. Or with Altar, it is a little bit slower. You typically want Circle of the Sky or Tower of the Winds. But Aeolus says, hey, you put 3 to 4 on it. You find Windjinn. I play my Windjinn. I searched the top 3. I was actually really good about getting the the first turn, lucky just choice a lot of times, just because once you understand like what staples you have in your deck, what's at 3, what you have in your hand, what's in your graveyard, you can kind of guess what you're going to be able to see. And that's another reason why I think he's a lot more consistent than I think people are giving him credit for. But even outside of that, even if I do not know and I don't know how to guess right, this says, hey, I can circle from Aeolus. I can effectively, with the Circle of the Sky, turbo out Tornadjinn, rearrange the 3 cards I foretold, be able to take one of them, draw 1, and then the last one is the, obviously the card I put on the bottom, typically the card I don't need at the moment. Really strong. I think this card is insanely good. Insanely good with Windjinn, with that combo. Especially the fact that you just foretold 3 cards and you were able to pull 2 out. Fair, right? And I would even say that, like, there's some times where Tornadjinn's in those 3. It'd be really nice to be able to find the other Tornadjinn in the deck to, continue that card advantage. But it just is what it is sometimes. But yes, you can effectively pull 2 cards out because of Windjinn's effect and Circle of the Sky. And you can choose basically both of those cards, which is really good. Obviously, as long as they're in the top of the deck, you can choose which other of the 3. Tower Winds effectively does the same thing. But Tower Winds is a little bit different because you don't draw the card, but you can Special Ascend if you want to. And this is where Tower Winds has a double play, because not only can it turbo out Tornadjinn, it can also allow me to get into Chrysor from pretty much any monster that I have on, as long as there's 1 wind on it. And that is why you can always play into, enchanting it with the water or enchanting it with the lunar to kind of, miss those battle tricks type stuff. Literally. Now, Altar of Stars, I left in the deck. Altar of Stars can kind of feel a little iffy, I'm not going to lie. But if you draw like Aeolus, Altar of Stars, you can still effectively get Tornadjinn. You just have to get them on your opponent's turn. Where you would still play Aeolus, get the the Windjinn, play the Windjinn. Effectively, you don't guess right, or it gets Gorgons. Gorgons is where it feels the worst because you weren't able to foretell, so you don't have the guaranteed ascension next when you do alter. But regardless, if you are able to get that search off, guess wrong, say that person decides to now battle you because you have this 3-1 out there, they're not expecting you to have alter, you alter to Windjinn, obviously get that on him, turbo out the Tornadjinn, and now they have to either choose to fight Tornadjinn or not, pretty much. And that can really just like end a game. It's effectively Tsunami, in a lot of ways. Where I didn't maybe put some in defense position. I can, obviously because I have alter, but it effectively says, hey, stop this battle. So I just wanted to talk about that. These 5 cards in particular, I guess I could remove these, but yeah, these 5 cards, I played double Tornado, double Circle, 1 Altar, 3 Aeolus. Because if you find Aeolus, you get out Tornadjinn. And this is why I'm saying I need the second one, because it is so freaking consistent. Just trust me. So that's it kind of for like my combo pieces. Next, we'll just kind of get into our, our basic kind of counter rune package. I've been choosing to go with 2 shield. Honestly, with how strong shield is right now, some of the creatures that just aren't affected by certain stuff, or can't be targeted per se, I've been really thinking about putting shield to 3. I haven't needed to, just because there's just typically not. But usually I'm saving this for certain very particular creatures. We played 3 Gorgons, pretty typical. We played 3 PTA, another way of removal, and then we played 3 Ambro. Like I said, pretty typical there. I don't think a deck right now in the Moonrise meta should play anything less than this. I also think that you should be playing at least, depending on obviously what your deck is, at least these 3 as well. In my opinion, this is the base package that you need for counter runes / invokes. Obviously you can play into some other things, like you can get a couple more tsunamis if you're playing water, but I think this right here is a really good package that if you have this, I haven't had any issue with removal or my back row being light or anything like that. Obviously, it's a little bit lighter than last format, but we have more hitters, we have more stuff that's able to get over stuff. This has been all I've literally needed. Also with this deck, you have insane card advantage. As I was talking to you about Circle of Sky, in Windjinn, we just drew free 2 cards. On top of the fact that Tornadjinn says, hey, I can do that every turn, by the way. Expend 1 win and choose any 3 cards in my deck. I could choose these 3 cards right here that I only have 1 of, and make my opponent choose. It's the funnest thing in the world. But yeah, that's the deck profile. So that is my deck profile. This is kind of my first time doing one of these. I've obviously watched a lot of people do them, so hopefully I did a pretty good job. If you have already, first off, let me say thank you guys for staying this long, checking out the profile. If you have come from like the games using this deck, I'd love to know your thoughts. I'd also love to know what you guys are cooking up in the comments in Moonrise. Yeah, and if you haven't, right, if you're seeing the deck profile video first, definitely go check out the matches and just to kind of see how it runs. I was able to, I'm pretty sure, get a piece of every single thing in the deck being able to function at some type of capacity, so you're kind of able to see everything it's able to do. Yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy those. There should be about 4 videos right now, and what I probably will continue to plan to do is my friend right now has kind of a gauntlet I'm able to run. I had no idea what the decks are, but pretty much they range from not good, I don't want to say not good because not good is a really not good way to say that. Let's just say like rogue, maybe non-meta, to meta contender top deck, right? So we ran a gauntlet yesterday. We pretty much went 3-1, made it to the meta contender deck. So I feel really good about it.